Welcome back to Grizzly Game Day, where it's halftime of the 2014 Grizz-Cat game. Montana out to a 27-0 lead, thanks to a couple TDs from Jordan Canada, 2 field goals from Daniel Sullivan, and another TD for tight end Mitch Saylor. Great start for the Grizz. You're listening to Grizzly Game Day. This is Sports Info Director Eric Tabor at the University of Montana. Joining me for today's Legend of the Game segment here at halftime is a guy that I think defined what it means to be a real team player. Former Big Sky, all Big Sky fullback turned D tackle, Jamal Wilson. Jamal, hey, man, it's great to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Eric, great to see you too, man.
So let's talk about this game a little bit. This is your junior year. In Grizz-Cats, always a really big deal. And it was a big day for the defense. Just what do you remember from this game, thinking about back your time here at Montana?
Yeah, so this is actually my last game as a fullback. When I think back about it, I don't know. I don't remember if we knew at the time that Delaney would be leaving, but that was an important game for us to win for him, and getting ready. I think it was a big game for us to qualify for the playoffs, and so there was definitely a lot at stake. So I remember that, and this was my second Grizz-Cat game, so. Obviously all of those games, you get stoked up for. Like that's the one game of the year that you can't not be prepared for, and so we were all stoked about that. So I remember that. But pretty much the usual, like guys really coming out and being prepared. I know from an offensive standpoint, we were doing something a little different, right? Where we ran like a strict zone, like an inside zone, wide zone, sort of I formation kind of, or single back sort of formations all year long. And then I don't know what exactly the switch was, but we decided that we would run for more shotgun formations this game, right? And so I was instead of being lined up behind Jordy, I was lined up right to the side of him, right? And so we were running our inside zone out of more of a shotgun pistol formation. And so that's really what I remember from an offensive standpoint. And so I know we had a really good game on the ground, right? Jordan was killing it. I think he had a 50-plus yard run that game. And then, the defense was just killing it, right? I think Tonga ended up getting an interception that game. There was a few more interceptions, a goal line stop, right? At a big moment in the game, I think that could have been a turning point for the Cats, but we ended up getting a stop there. And so it was exciting, right? And then it was the game for the seniors, right? And that was a big group where you had the Tongas, the Trips, and the Coils, right? And so that was a pretty big game for that group especially. And so we definitely wanted to get that win for them. And so yeah, I mean, and it was Grizz-Cat, so like that just topped it all off. And walking up the tunnel with the Great Divide Trophy again, and so like that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it's great memories. So you kind of touched on this part there. This is just your second Grizz-Cat game, and that's because you started your career at Boise State and then came to Montana. As we said, started up at fullback and then switched over to the D line. So that's quite the journey for a college football player. Just walk us through that, your timeline in football and I guess what it is about you that made you say, hey man, I'll do whatever it takes to help the team and make those changes.
Yeah. And that's definitely it's a big part of my football career, college career, and it's a part of what defines me as a person today. It's being able to help your team in whatever way you can, right? And from a football standpoint, right, we're really helping the university in any way that I could. And so I grew up playing football, so I pretty much played every position with the exception of quarterback and maybe defensive back. I didn't really, I never had the speed to go out there, but I pretty much played every position, growing up. And so while it wasn't completely foreign, it obviously was a challenge making the jump. And so at Boise State, I was always the plan. I actually made the jump from high school. I was a linebacker. I played defense and linebacker all of my years and played a little bit of offense, but not really necessarily any stints at fullback during my time in high school. And so I actually made the jump in high school from defense to offense and playing fullback. And so I had to relearn, I had to learn the whole position during my time there. And great, luckily I had great coaching there. Coach Scotta, who is now the O-line coach, I believe, at Washington, but he was the tight ends coach at the time. And so I actually had spent a lot of time practicing with tight ends, and, you know, actually running routes, running routes and stuff like that. So that was my first shot at running those. And then learning the blocking was another big thing. And so luckily Boise State they ran another, like an inside zone scheme, power scheme, which was definitely easier to learn. And so I developed my skills in that way. And then I think at the end of my redshirt freshman year, there was an offensive coordinator change that kind of went to more of the shotgun formation. And so there was like, do you change to running back? Do you try to go back on defense, right? Or do you like maybe try to be a 5'11" tight end? So so there was definitely some choices there. And there was also the decision, like, do you even continue to play, right? And so I didn't even think that I would, continue playing. So that was on the table as well. So I say I'll give it a shot at maybe seeing if there's other colleges that I could, pursue and transfer out to. So I put together a little tape. I had some films. I put together a little tape, and then I ended up getting a call. I'd actually already decided that if nothing came out of the transfer thing, I wasn't going to change position or anything. I was actually going to be done with football. And so this was actually it may have been a spring a spring my spring break. I was returning home, and at the airport I got the call from Coach Delaney and Coach Green about, like, saying that they wanted me to come visit, and possibly wanted to offer me a scholarship. And so that was pretty cool. And by the way, I was a walk-on at Boise State at the time, so the scholarship was more than I even had while I was at Boise State. So and so they ran a similar scheme with Coach Henson, who had connections with the coach at Boise State. And so it turned out to be a right fit. And honestly, Eric, it turned out to be the best decision I ever made, which was going to Montana. And so went to Montana, just had a great time, right? Doing what I love, which is hitting people. I play a physical style of football, so like I'm not scared of contact. I was never scared of contact. So Coach Henson used to give me crap because he felt like every time they give me the ball, like I would rather get tackled and hit somebody than run into the open field and try to score or something like that. So that might be a reason why I didn't get the ball as much. But that's what they said about me, and that was really my style of play. Even as a linebacker, I played with reckless abandon, like no care for my body or the body of others, and that was my style of play, and that's what I built my game around, and that's why all the running backs used to worship me in the running back room. Everybody wanted to run behind me and that sort of thing. And so they would sometimes they would miss their hole because they would just be following me, trying to follow where I'm going and miss their hole. And so that was funny. So yeah, I had a great time. And then obviously the change when Stick came on board was a shocker. But at this point in time in my career, like I'm almost done with my degree. I've played, I'm basically 4 years now with my redshirt year. So yeah, it wasn't a huge deal, right, for me to, whether it was continuing football or not. Like I was there to get my degree at the end of the day. But luckily there was an opportunity to to make the change to the defensive line, which probably was and I mentioned before, like it probably was a better decision to do at that level than at the Division I level, where like I feel like the big difference in the two levels is the line play. And so I said, why not? Why not give it a shot and rose up to the challenge, right? And it was a change, right? I had to learn the defense. I had to learn techniques. I had to gain weight, but not too much weight, so I can possibly go back to fullback if I wanted to, pursue the NFL or something like that. So like there was those types of challenges, but it was fun. It's football, right? And so I got to still be physical. I got to still fight with my brothers, and like that's what was important to me. And if I felt like I could help the team in that way, then that was something that I was going to do, and there was no question about it, right? And so yeah, and like what I really had to do was early on was like really learning the basics, right? And it's like understanding, can I do this? Like looking at myself, like, can I really do this? Is this something that's realistic? And when I got through spring ball, that was when I was like, yeah, this is something I could probably do. So the summer I focused on like all the things that I learned in the spring, building up in the weight room, getting my weight in order. And then the fall is when I focused on, okay, what do I need to do to get on the field and possibly become a starter, right? So I set all these goals, right? Like, okay, I'm going to get this many sacks in practice, and I need to work on the double team. I need to like because Coach Noah used to grade us on every practice, and so I used to like, okay, here's the minimum grade or number of points that I need to get, and we actually had a competition of like, if you had the most points, then you would be in the starting lineup. So I would just every practice build on points and points and points and points until eventually I was like, oh, I'm starting like against NDSU. So that was pretty much how that happened, and then that really that's just something I learned along the way, and being able to set goals for myself and tackle those. So that's a really long way of saying like.
I mean, I think that sort of approach to things has really paid off for you. If you're just joining us, we've got Jamal Wilson here, former D tackle and fullback, and talking 2014 Grizz Cat game. But setting goals, planning, preparing, and being a team player, these are all sort of philosophies that served you well on the football field. But one of the reasons I love my job is because I like to see, I appreciate the student athlete experience where sports trains people to be successful in life. So just give us an update about where you're at now. You're in Southern California. What are you doing for work, and sort of, how does those two sort of ideas play into each other?
Yeah, so I appreciate that, Eric. So right now, yeah, I'm currently in Southern California, actually in Riverside, about an hour outside of Los Angeles. Right now, I'm a manager at a nonprofit called Hoven and Sink, and the mission of that nonprofit is to end youth homelessness in LA, and we do that by providing an array of housing and supportive services. So my exact role is I lead our college success department, which actually provides housing to students who are experiencing homelessness, who are either at community college or at the 4-year level. So this past summer, one of the big landmarks of that is this past summer, we opened the first, like arguably in the country, housing geared directly for homeless community college students. And so we're super excited about that. We opened that at Cerritos College. So that's been a big part of the work I've been doing for the past year. I've been part of building kind of this program and building this solution for when it comes to homelessness in California, right, which is a big issue, but in Los Angeles itself is like its own microcosm of the issue, and so I've been super thrilled to be a part of that solution, and so I've been we're really our agency is the lead in terms of developing solutions for this issue of really student homelessness. And so we've built kind of like funding, and we've done a lot of fundraising around it. And so this past year, July, we have secured funding with the state to offer our agency by itself offer housing to over 200 students experiencing homelessness this year alone, and over the next 3 years. So I've been super stoked about that, and so I've been able to lead that effort. And so I manage a team of folks who amazing folks who are on the ground working with the individual students on a daily basis, and so and get to build out the program structure and all the things that come along with that. And so that's exciting. But before that is I actually spent about a little over a year in the state legislature, completing a public policy fellowship where I got to work with one of my state senators, Senator Mike McGuire, for that year. And so I got to help him draft bills and give him recommendations on different pieces of legislation. I did a little bit of politics as well, so working on different campaigns up and down the state. And so that was amazing. That was a really good experience. I got a few graduate credits out of it as well. I built an amazing network up in Sacramento, and it also exposed me to what public policy can do, right? So now I have this mix of like kind of on the ground work, here in the community, building solutions, and then I also have that work in the state legislature at a higher level, understanding how those policies are affected, how budgets are made, and things of that nature. And so that's been a big part of my journey, and was a big part of my decision to continue to pursue law school, as it was something I always wanted to do. When I got my poli-sci degree from Montana, that was always my goal. There was no pre-law program, so that's the closest you can get to being able to prepare for law. So that was always my goal. But being able to take a year off, which I immediately after leaving the U, I did a year as an AmeriCorps Vista, actually with the agency that I'm at now, I worked as an AmeriCorps Vista. And AmeriCorps Vista is basically the domestic version of the Peace Corps. Um, and so I did that here in LA, working on homelessness and homeless youth. And that's when I went over to Sacramento and then came back to run the new program for students. And so that's what I've been doing since then. During the same time we were putting together that program, I did a pre-law fellowship here in LA at a law firm where they helped a bunch of diverse students who were pursuing law as a career. They helped us with the application process, helped us gear up for what to expect in law school. And so they helped us build another network, right? So now I have another network of folks in that group. And so that year I spent kind of working on my applications, studying for the LSAT, taking the LSAT, which by the way is the worst experience. Worst experience ever, is not something I would ever want to do again. And I'm mad right now that I'm thinking about it. So I studied for the LSAT, took the LSAT, and then applied all around, right? I applied to, from Harvard to Yale to, USC, UCLA here in town, and Notre Dame came with a really good package. It's an amazing school, right? So the name recognition speaks for itself, right? Notre Dame is known, and so that's a big thing in the legal field is, people want to know where you studied at. And so while, albeit it's not a Harvard or a Stanford, it's really good, has really good name recognition, really good faculty. The dean actually just he just left Stanford to go run the law program over at Notre Dame, and so that was a pretty big part of my factor. And then money, right? Law school costs a whole bunch of money, and so most law students will come out of law school at about almost $300,000 in student debt, and that if you paid full sticker, that's what it would be. So they actually offered me about 50% tuition of a scholarship to go there as well. And so I'm excited about that, right? And to pursue a legal career. Not sure exactly what type of law I want to practice, right? But right now I'm looking at doing more of corporate, possibly some litigation work, but really working in the business sphere, hoping to kind of mesh all the things that I've been involved in, where it comes like the nonprofit, government, and public policy, and then using my legal background to inform those two types of work. So wherever hopefully I'm definitely am reaching for some leadership position, whether it be at a business or an organization that's doing good work, right? Working on things in our issues, whether it be housing or climate change or, renewable energies or things like that. I'm super excited about doing that. So.
Very cool. Well, that's all just phenomenal stuff, Jamal. I mean, you're going to truly go out there and make a difference in not only your community there in Southern California, but the entire country and the world. And we couldn't be more proud of you up here in Montana. So just don't be a stranger. All right. Get back up here for a game or two. And we'll hopefully see you soon when we play some football. But anyway, thank you for taking the time. It's been great to catch up with you. Grizz fans, if you bleed maroon and silver, you found your happy place at the M Store. For all your Grizz apparel, gifts, and more, drop by the M Store at 124 North Higgins in Missoula, or visit us online at the MontanaMstore.com. The M Store is all Grizz all the time. Jamal, good luck to you, man. It's been great catching up, and hopefully see you again soon.
Thanks, Eric. I'm looking forward to it.